The sun dipped low over the Pacific, casting golden light across the sand. Families laughed, waves rolled in, and the air was thick with salt and sunscreen. A classic summer evening. The beach, a crescent of pale sand bordered by rocky headlands, bustled with life. A promenade teemed with joggers and locals, while a grassy park dotted with pines overlooked the scene. From the footbridge, one could see the entire panorama, children playing, parents relaxing, music drifting on the breeze. Tonight the crowd was larger than usual, drawn for a special celebration timed with the sunset. The mood was festive, anticipation humming in the air, yet beneath the joy, a quiet tension lingered, a sense that something was amiss. Recent acts of hatred had unsettled the nation, challenging its self-image of harmony and safety. On this evening, that tension would erupt in a way no one could have imagined. The setting sun marked not just the end of a day, but the end of an era of innocence. The beach, a symbol of joy, was about to become the stage for tragedy. The laughter and music masked an undercurrent of unease. No one suspected how quickly everything would change. The event was Chanukah by the Sea, an annual celebration of Hanukkah. Families gathered for face painting, a petting zoo, and live music, all leading up to the lighting of a giant menorah. Thousands came, a diverse crowd united by tradition and hope. The festival was a public affirmation of belonging, set on a beach that symbolized openness and freedom. Survivors of past persecutions found deep meaning in this open celebration. Among them, an 87-year-old Holocaust survivor and his wife watched their grandchildren play by the ocean, a testament to resilience. The event was more than a festival. It was a living symbol of light overcoming darkness. The menorah, unlit but ready, stood as a beacon of hope. The community felt safe, their culture woven into the nation's fabric. But beneath the joy, a different kind of darkness was gathering. The night's promise of unity would soon be shattered. The celebration's openness made it both a triumph and a target. No one imagined the danger that was about to descend. A sharp crack of gunfire split the air at 6:45 p.m. At first, many mistook it for fireworks, until more shots followed, deliberate and hostile. Panic erupted as two figures on the footbridge, dressed in dark clothing, fired into the crowd below. The illusion of safety vanished instantly. Screams replaced music. Blankets and picnic chairs were abandoned as people scrambled for their lives. The gunmen's elevated position gave them a clear view of the densely packed crowd. Bullets struck indiscriminately, young and old, organizers and bystanders alike. The assistant rabbi fell among the first, followed by a 10-year-old child and the elderly Holocaust survivor. The attack was swift, efficient, and merciless. Parents shielded children, some were trampled in the chaos, and the beach became a scene of terror. The air filled with gunpowder and anguish. The violence was not just against individuals, but against the very idea of sanctuary. The festival grounds were transformed into a killing field. The menorah, meant to symbolize hope, stood unlit amid the carnage. The attack was an assault on community, faith, and the promise of safety. In moments, a celebration of light became a nightmare of darkness. The nation's sense of security was shattered. The assault lasted only minutes, but for those on the ground, it felt endless. People ran in every direction, some diving behind seawalls, others scrambling up embankments or dropping to the sand, playing dead. Amid the terror, a bystander charged the footbridge, tackling one shooter and seizing his weapon, a moment of raw heroism. The attackers, a father and son, continued their rampage until police arrived. The son was disarmed by the brave bystander. The father kept firing as sirens approached. Police engaged the gunman in a chaotic firefight. The beach, once festive, became a combat zone. Survivors lay low, listening to gunfire and sirens, trapped between the ocean and violence. The sun had set, plunging the scene into a disorienting twilight. The menorah's lights, meant for celebration, remained dark. The beautiful evening was now a nightmare. The festival's joy was lost in the chaos. Emergency calls flooded in at 6:45. Police and paramedics raced to the scene, confronting chaos and carnage. Officers engaged the gunman on the footbridge. The father was fatally shot, the son wounded and arrested. First responders moved quickly to secure the area and search for other threats. Paramedics set up triage on the grass, facing a staggering number of casualties. Dozens had been shot, others were injured in the stampede. Medical teams worked under floodlights, making agonizing decisions about who to treat first. Ambulances lined the road, ready to transport the wounded. As police secured the perimeter, they discovered two improvised explosive devices, rudimentary but viable. Bomb disposal teams rendered them safe, revealing the attackers' intent to inflict even greater harm. The presence of explosives added a chilling layer to the tragedy. The violence was planned to maximize terror. The city's emergency services were pushed to their limits. The attack was not just a shooting, but an orchestrated act of terror. The aftermath was overwhelming. With the wounded evacuated and the area secured, the beach became a silent crime scene. Investigators worked quickly, flashlights sweeping over abandoned blankets, toys, and shoes, poignant reminders of interrupted lives. The unlit menorah stood as a dark monument to the celebration that never happened. Forensic teams meticulously documented every shell casing and bullet hole. The footbridge where the attack began was the epicenter of the investigation. The scale of the tragedy was immense. 15 dead, ages 10 to 87, including the assistant rabbi, a French citizen, and an Israeli. At least 42 were hospitalized, many in critical condition. Each casualty represented a family shattered, a community devastated. The beach, once a symbol of life, was now a map of chaos and loss. Police floodlights bathed the scene in cold, artificial light. The usual sounds of the city were replaced by a heavy silence. The waves continued, but their rhythm now felt mournful. The beach was frozen in time, a memorial to a day the nation would never forget. The joy had been stolen from the sand. With one shooter dead and the other in custody, the investigation turned to motive. Authorities confirmed the attack was carried out solely by the father and son. The son, critically wounded, held the key to understanding the planning behind the massacre. The father was known to security services, but no warning had been given. Police raided the father's property, seizing 6 firearms and exposing the attack's premeditation. The nation's strict gun laws had been circumvented, revealing a dangerous vulnerability. The Prime Minister declared the shooting an act of anti-Semitic terrorism. The attack targeted a Jewish festival amid a year of rising anti-Semitic incidents. A recent government report had documented a surge in hate crimes. The massacre was the horrifying culmination of this wave of hate. International condemnation was swift. Leaders expressed horror and solidarity. For the local community, the focus was on grief and recovery. No answer could undo the horror of that evening. The country was plunged into mourning. The beach's name, once synonymous with joy, was now linked to tragedy. Memorials sprang up along the promenade, flowers, candles, and children's drawings. Strangers stood together in silence, united in grief. The attack was the deadliest mass shooting in nearly 30 years, shaking the nation's sense of safety. Vigils were held across the country, thousands gathering to honor the victims and stand with the Jewish community. The message was one of unity and defiance against hate. Yet beneath the solidarity, fear lingered. If it can happen here, where is safe? Stories of the victims emerged: the rabbi, the child, the Holocaust survivor, each loss deeply personal. The tragedy forced a painful re-examination of gun laws and national identity. The country mourned not just an event, but 15 irreplaceable lives. The loss was felt in every home. The beach eventually reopened, but the atmosphere was forever changed. Children's laughter was subdued. The footbridge evoked painful memories. A long shadow had fallen across the shore, a scar on the city and nation. The tragedy forced a national conversation about gun control, security, and the rise of extremism. The belief that it couldn't happen here was gone, replaced by a new awareness of vulnerability. For the targeted community, the impact was deep and lasting. The Festival of Lights had been plunged into darkness. The unlit menorah became a symbol of grief. Public celebration of heritage was now tinged with fear. The community faced the challenge of healing and rebuilding trust. December 14, 2025, became a somber landmark in national history. The event is a permanent reminder of the fragility of peace. The memory of that night will linger, a story of light and the darkness that fell without warning.